Throughout history, free thinkers have outraged the religious with their wacky ideas about the virtues of free speech, reason, and of course, eating babies. Now, God is dying, and it's time to dispose of his remains. From the pits of hell, Satan sends two puppets of the imperialist West and the Zionist Jews against God, Islam, and tiny kittens to bring you their propaganda and conspire for a new world order. This is Secular Jihadists for a Muslim Enlightenment with Ali Rizvi and Armin Navabi.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Secular Jihadists for Muslim Enlightenment. My name is Ali Rizvi, and with me is the great, the wonderful Armin Navabi. The very good-looking Armin Navabi.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah, and in case you thought, for the longest time, all of you have thought that, okay, there is one sort of beauty queen on this podcast, and it's Armin Navabi. Well, for the first time now, Armin's going to have like some serious competition. I think he's going to lose. So we have... with us, okay, so this episode is called Miss Pakistan, and that's not a joke. That's actually very real. We're here with a former Miss Pakistan winner, Mahleej Sarkari. She's a former winner of the Miss Pakistan World and Miss Tourism Queen International pageants. And she has a fascinating history that I'm just going to talk about it briefly, and I'm going to let her speak to it. She comes from a mixed family of background of Muslims, Parsis, Christians, and others, but she was born and grew up in Pakistan. She was raised Muslim in her childhood, but decided it wasn't really working out for her in later life, and now sees herself as more spiritual. So, here you have, she's raised in a country which is an Islamic country, right? But she has a mixed religious background. She has been raised in a modesty culture, a society, but she's also a beauty pageant contestant, and a model and an actress. And then she has also been a refugee. Her family actually came to Canada as refugees. So, Mahleej, if I got anything wrong, you'll have a lot of time to fix that. But welcome to the podcast. It's great to finally meet you and talk to you face to face. I've been following you for a long time.
Same here. Thanks, Ali, for having me. It's amazing to meet you and Armin.
Yeah. Okay. Hey. So, let's start from the beginning. So, one thing that I heard. You have a really, really interesting family background. Now, you were born in Karachi. You're Pakistani by origin. I mean, that we know. But can you tell us a little bit about how you grew up and your parents, where they came from, and just
okay. Like I've said before too, my grandparents from one side of the family were Muslims, and the other side were complicated. Like there was Parsi and Christians. So when my mom got married, she wasn't brought up as a Muslim. She converted because she had to get married. She got married to a Muslim. And then when we were born, we were also kind of being raised as such that. But I guess my mom converted just because the cause of it. She didn't really, really convert. And when my dad passed away, that's when she wanted to follow, her own religion. And it was hard for us because of being a religious minority. It was hard for her. I myself never really felt like, anything on me because I was being raised as a Muslim. So nobody really give a shit, But she did face a lot of criticism. And of course, for her to be converting back was a big thing. That's why we had to kind of run away from there. As she was being forced, to kind of stay away from all that.
Oh, so she was Muslim and she was converting back to Parsi.
Yes.
In a way, she's becoming an apostate, right? So so that would cause problems. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, growing up there, I was there till I was probably 12, maybe 13, around that age, and so I never really faced any discrimination in that sense, but then again, I wasn't seen as a minority.
Yeah. So you're there, you moved to Canada when you were about 12 or 13, right? Mm-hmm. Now, so when you were growing there and it seems like your father obviously passed away when you were very young.
Yeah.
Right. And so before that happened, how religious were you? Was it a super religious family? Had your mother really taken on? I mean, because the people convert for marriage, but they don't really believe it in their hearts. Right?
Well, it was growing up. I did see her for like maybe a little bit part of her life where she prayed and then she was fasting. Not most of my life that I was there. With us, we were never really forced onto it. Like my father wasn't very educated, and he did follow the religion, but he wasn't a fanatic. He did drink, and a couple other things. He did a couple of drugs and stuff. So he wasn't really. So he didn't really force us into all those things. But yeah, of course, when it came to showing off wearing certain clothes and stuff, he had a problem with certain things, women shouldn't do and stuff. But otherwise, because he liked to hang out in the elite crowd, he always wanted us to dress like in jeans and long shirts and stuff. So he was kind of moderate in his mind. He wanted to pretend to be a certain way, but he used the religion whenever he wanted to on us, for his advantage. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, completely. It's actually very familiar.
Yeah. But my mom's family was very, because my dad's family came from like a tribal area in a small village, but my mom was from the city. And of course she was brought up with, all the freedom. Her dad being Parsi, like she had all the freedom she could, she was raised that way and she brought us up that way as well. So she never really forced us into anything.
Yeah. So I guess the background of this in terms of Islamic law is that if you are a Muslim man, you are allowed to marry Jews and Christians, and they don't necessarily have to convert. But you can't marry, for example, Hindus or polytheists or Zoroastrians, Parsis. They have to convert for you to marry them. But if you are a Muslim woman, you can't even marry a Christian Jewish man. Like, you have to marry a Muslim man. So you convert for the marriage, and then after that, when you want to go back to your Parsi roots, you don't. And the other interesting thing is the founder of Pakistan, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. His wife was, his wife was Parsi too, and he has a daughter actually who lives in India. Who's also
well, my mom, because she was following her mother's Christianity and she wanted to be Christian, and so we were taught about everything. Like I even knew the Bible. I also read the Quran. I haven't read my Parsi book, but like I used to watch my grandfather always pray, and so I just kind of done a little bit of studies in that. But like, my mom, she brought us up to be Christians and we used to go to church and everything. But as I grew older, I just kind of wanted to dig into it because I was like, there's 3 different religions in my family, like which one should I should just like, try to see. And then to my conclusion, like I said, I just identify with one of them. I don't know which one is the right God, but
yeah. So so you're growing up as a girl in Pakistan, right? So as a girl in Pakistan, and Islam is everywhere because that's an Islamic country, it's a Muslim majority country. You have these other options, like you have the Parsi and Christian thing in your family. And now, even when you come to Canada, you grew up under the influence of a Muslim majority society, and what that does to women. I mean, you know what it's like. I mean, girls who grow up in Pakistan don't have the best situation in the world, right? So, how much did that influence your, when you decided to like put Islam to the side and explore some of these other religions, like just being a girl?
Well, see, like I said, when I was growing up, religion wasn't like forced on down our throats. But yes, there was a time like if we went to the village as I was growing older and I went through puberty, I was now a woman, so as long as I was like before that, I was able to wear whatever I wanted in the village and in the city. But then when I would come to the city, it was different. I didn't have to wear dupatta. But if I went to the village, then I would have to start wearing the veil. when we
Yeah.
were driving through people, and then you take it off and stuff. Like I said, he wasn't too fanatic. Like my dad wasn't. Only when it came to his benefit, he was a fanatic. Islam says this, so I can do it. You know what I mean? So otherwise, he wasn't that bad. Like the most, I didn't really understand that whatever I was seeing in front of me, mostly what I saw was women suffering, basically, the segregation and the torture, the multiple marriages, the girls getting married at like 12, 13, 14 years. So those are the things I saw, but I didn't know that it is because of the religion that they're following. When I came here and, gradually I started learning more and more about it, because you read the Quran, but I read it in Arabic. I didn't know what it said. I didn't know any of it, that what it said. I could recite anything you wanted me to, but I didn't know what it meant. So when you actually go in it and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, why is this? Oh, this is why he was doing it, because it's written in the religion, So like I said, like I've seen that tribal part. I saw men totally being like literally like animals. And then I will come to the city and I would see my mom's brothers, and they would treat their women really nice, and I could see the brought up was different from both. Like it was really complicated for me to see that, but yeah, I couldn't relate to it till I actually came here, and I was open to that idea.
All right. So, by the way, guys, for the people that keep telling me not to interrupt, this is why I have to interrupt, because I keep raising my hand, and went 11 minutes through the show without Ali once noticing that I have questions. No, shut up.
I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at my.
I'm interrupting you now. I have questions. So when you, I have to interrupt. So when you are looking at the different religions, right? Like, what's your? You're saying you were asking yourself which one you want to identify with. But did you ever consider that you don't have to identify with any of them?
No, of course I know that I don't have to,
right?
But I don't know exactly where I stand right now too. Like I guess I'm still in the search mode, I would have to just say that I'm more of a spiritual person, but I guess it makes the conversation a lot easier when you just tell somebody that you're, Parsi. If that cuts the conversation in half, I just kind of,
so
make it that way.
Why does that make it easier? Like, do Parsi people are kind of like immune in this community?
No, I'm not saying that, but Parsi people are known as very nice, caring, successful people. If you look around the world, I'm pretty sure there's bad ones too, but they have a good reputation. They are good people, and everybody that I have met across, my family included, they're very well educated. So, and I don't know, I just find like it is the teachings of the religion that I mostly connect with. Whereas if you see the other religions, there's a lot of things that I wouldn't agree with them.
Right. So it's when you pick the title, it's mostly about not letting people make like false assumptions about you or stuff like. It's not really a representative of your ideology or what you know to be true or not to be true. It's mostly a group of people that you want to associate with because of what that comes with. Is that
identity more than a belief?
No, Ali, don't refer. No, that's not what I said. But
no, the group that I actually mostly associate with are Muslims. It's not that I just say that I'm Parsi because I want to hang out with Parsis and stuff.
Right.
No, like I said, I find the best out of everything that I saw. First being, it is the most one of the most, I would say, oldest religion there is. I'm not saying that I believe in everything, but it has certain things that we all can agree on. Like, there's good and bad, and you should be doing good, you shouldn't lie, all those things that every kind of religion has. But it also doesn't say that you should go and kill the non-believers, and you should hit your wife, and some stuff that other religions
does it seem like Doesn't it seem like the so-called good parts of all of them are obvious? Obviously good, cheap moral lessons that anybody could get without religion, but it's the bad parts that only comes with religion. Like, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to realize murdering people is probably not a good idea. It's not a healthy society. It doesn't take religion.
Depends who you're murdering.
Hold on. It doesn't take religion to say, oh, theft is bad. Seems like people have figured that out way before religion. But it does take religion to say, oh yeah, an apostate needs to die. Like, it seems like the good parts are not unique to religion, and it's so easy to figure out without religion, but it's the bad parts that are unique to religion. I mean, at least their brand of evil is unique to religion. Doesn't it seem like that?
You could put that into an argument, but for me, it's not really like that. It's just, for me, I don't think per se you need religion to do good or bad. People are just good or bad. I believe that. But like I said, from my beliefs to whatever I find is the most accurate, I just kind of put it in that way. Yeah.
Doesn't it seem like if the fact that you're looking at all of them and deciding which ones is good, which ones is bad, which teachings you like and which teachings you don't like, doesn't it seem like to you that suggests that the moral compass that you're using is independent from all of these religions, and you're tapping into some other source to figure out what's right and wrong, and it seems like to be independent from all of these scripture?
Well, like I said, I'm not even talking, like, I haven't even read much of the scripture. I'm not coming I'm just relating to something that I relate to, right? I don't know if other people take the morals from it or not. I think my morals and my etiquettes and everything came from my parents, not the religion, but my parents, you know what I mean? So like I said, there's good and bad in people. I believe on that. I just, like I said, I just identify as a Parsi. If I have to identify with something, I just choose to identify with that.
Yeah,
but you're on a journey of discovery, right? Like, you still don't know where
exactly.
you're
Like I said, I believe in doing good, so good things happen, kind of like that. I'm more of a spiritual person. And like I said, I'm still studying. I'm still like keeping an open mind. I listen to different people. Like, I found Harris, and through that I found Abdullah. And I'm just, like I said, I'm on the search to see what is the truth.
So 2 questions with regards to that. What do you mean by spiritual? And also, on your journey, are you on your journey of an identity, or a new journey of discovering of what is true and what is not true when it comes to are you looking at these, like, when you're shopping for ideologies, are you looking, like, is it something like, oh, I can identify with this is comfortable, or are you looking for, like, oh, this ideology, it describes reality most accurately? Do you know what I mean? Like, which one of those two?
I'm searching for the truth. I would honestly tell you, everybody has their own truth that they want to know. I'm, like I said, I've been doing a lot of research into, the whole theory of evolution and all this, but it takes time to study, and, you have to understand there's a lot of things that have been put into this brain since you're a child. When I came here, for me to get into a bikini was a big thing, even though, I wasn't that old, but, it just took me a while to get to a comfort level of a comfort, to get from where I came from to where I was. So I would just say, like, again, that I'm just on a journey to search the truth, I guess, whatever that is.
I think that's what you're talking about is typically what happens. I think it's very, very relatable. So while people are on this journey of truth, I mean, what they associate with, this is why I think it's so important for whenever I talk to anybody, I'm like, the best way you can really influence people is not by lectures or anything like that. It's by example, the way that you live. Like you're saying, that when you saw the people on the Parsi side of your family, you're like, these are good people. This is where I feel I can relate more. Whereas on the other, so that's when I was asking, and I interrupted Armin very rudely, and I'm going to hear about that for the next 2 years. But when
I don't mind being interrupted.
I know.
I'm
By the way, we do this a lot.
I'm talking to the patrons that get offended that I interrupt. I'm never upset with you. I'm just telling them. But go on.
I love you too, man. So it's so that, and that's why there's a lot of times. It's not about belief necessarily for people, but it's about an identity. So people are looking for group belonging and not just necessarily something to believe in, and that's another process. But so let's go back to this. I'm what I admire about you is the way that you grew up in a society like that. You grew up in a Muslim society, in a modesty culture society, and you came out, and as you said, in order to break out and make those changes, it took a lot of courage. What made you decide to go down this line of taking part in beauty contests and becoming an activist, being so outspoken about women's issues, especially in Pakistan? So is that something that was bubbling from a younger age, or is it something that really bloomed when you came to Canada?
Yeah, I would say, from a very younger age. Like, I remember always participating in school, if there was plays, if there was anything, dance, whatever. We used to do a little performances. Every school that I went to, I always did that. I used to watch a lot of Bollywood movies when I was growing up in Pakistan. So I was influenced by, Sridevi, Madhuri, and, looking at them. So you kind of get influenced into it. Most of my uncles, my family is like all into computers, but I wanted to be into art. I was the black sheep, I guess you can say, of the family. But so when I
the sheep of color, you mean?
Sorry,
no, I'm just kidding. I was going to say sheep of color. It's a dad joke. I'm a dad. I make dumb jokes.
Oh, so when I came here, some of my family, like I said, they're still Muslims. Some are not. Some of them don't even believe in God, So everybody has chosen their thing. I've been here for 21 years, so a lot can change in that amount of time. My mom, because she grew up in a very open, open-minded house, in that era where, she was able to wear dresses outside in Pakistan, and, women used to be able to go outside by themselves. So she gave me that freedom, when I came here. I remember being 16-year-old and being able to, for the first time going outside on my own. So when I told her that I want to do this, I remember there was like a model search, and I wanted to go do a photo shoot, and they're like, you have to do it in a bikini. And I asked her, and she was okay with it. So I think my whole encouragement came from my mother. She could have been like, oh, no, you shouldn't. Even being brought up in that kind of culture. So I guess I came at an age where it took me a little time, but I transformed pretty quickly. I adopted everything pretty quickly, but it happened with my mom being there. My sister, who's younger than me, she adopted to the culture like this she, if you see, she doesn't speak Urdu as much as I do. She's more Canadianized even than I am. So I think it also depends what age you come here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so okay. Sorry, Armin, you had a question?
Yeah, because given so I was looking for this quote by this wise man called Ali Rizvi, and given that you were fighting, you're fighting for women's rights, I wanted to see if you agree with this quote. Oh, by the way, are you frozen? Are you back? Can you hear me?
I was for a minute. Sorry. I think my internet went off. It's back on now.
Okay,
so I couldn't hear anything Ali you said.
No, it was me.
Repeat it.
All right, so I there's a you mentioned that you're fighting for women's rights. So I found this quote from Ali Rizvi. I wanted to see if you agree with this quote. The quote goes, "If you want to fight patriarchy but won't fight religion, you're not fighting patriarchy." What do you think about that quote?
I think it's good, but patriarchy and religion, we can, there's two different things. I think they're not exactly the same. I don't have to fight religion per se. Like, I don't know. It's a hard one. For women's thing, it's different, and for religion, it's someone's belief, someone's morals, and I guess more people's feelings get hurt. Basically, if you think about it, Um,
I mean, if they're
so
shitty beliefs, does it matter that they get hurt?
well, some people are gonna get hurt anyways. Like I speak against religions too. It's not that I don't,
Yeah, you do.
and I don't go around saying, oh, convert to Parsi Zoroastrianism and this and that. It's just, I just find, like I said, just to identify with it.
But
And maybe I might not even remain a Parsi. Who knows? I just don't know yet. I really don't.
Well, I
But
do suggest that you
coming to
don't, because
Sorry?
I do suggest that you do not remain Parsi, because it is a misogynist religion, just like every other religion. And
Armin's he's trying to convert you to atheism. Which
I mean, I'm trying to convince you not to endorse an ideology that is anti-woman.
I don't endorse anything. I don't endorse anything, actually. I actually, most of the time I try to stay away from religion, but it just happens to be that my following is 80% from Pakistan. So either I talk about human rights, either I talk about how to eat a banana or anything. They just push religion into it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard for me to talk about anything related to Pakistan and not have religion involved into it.
Oh yeah, of course. But
yeah.
But
So-
but to be no, let me finish.
Go on.
To be fair, like, identifying as one of these religions is to some extent legitimate, giving it legitimacy and giving it more relevancy that it needs. Like, it's possible to mention that there are some aspect of Islamic culture, Christian culture, Zoroastrian culture that one person enjoys without actually identifying as one of them. Like, for example, I say I like Islamic mythology, and I enjoy Christmas, okay, but I do not identify as a Christian or a Muslim, because these are, when it comes to a guideline to life, these are horrible ideologies that deserve no legitimacy from anybody. So I think we need to introduce more people with the idea that you could enjoy some aspects of the culture without wearing the label, and adding to the numbers of people that are giving authority to these ideas. And you say religion is not the same as misogyny or patriarchy, but yeah, because it's a lot more shit than just misogyny. And misogyny is only one of the poisons that religion spreads. It's a lot worse than just misogyny. So, but I mean, if you, I'm just suggesting, by the way, this is just a suggestion, that if you do care about women's rights, these are religions that have never not been anti-woman. So, not,
of course.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with that. I'm not saying that they're not, but like I said, if you were to pick least of the evil, I would just put it in that way.
The least of the evil is atheism.
That's the
what about Stalin? What about Stalin?
Side of religion, So
what? Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I say it's the opposite of religion. Atheism is the opposite of religion. You just don't believe in religion. So
that's how it manages. That's exactly how it manages to be the least evil.
Well, yeah, it could be. I think evil or not evil, it has. I'm pretty sure there's bad atheists out there too. That do.
Yep.
I don't, like you said, morals don't really reflect from a religion. It's just from a person. Either you're a good person or you're a bad person. You know what I mean? So, so it could be bad atheists there too.
Yeah. I know.
Atheists are. Nobody's suggesting that atheists are not bad people, but atheism does not lead to people being evil. Okay, religion leads to people being evil. Atheists are bad people independent of their atheism. Atheism does not come with a doctrine. Atheism does not advocate for anything other than lack of belief in God.
Can I say that?
You see, majority of the people, like, even if you're talking about Islam and stuff, majority of the Muslims are not really, they don't even know, like my family don't even know half of the stuff that is written in Quran, So
Yeah.
if you're looking at those people that are actually following and turning evil, they're those terrorists and, the Muslim Brotherhood. And those are the people, or you see the, the Christian, the fanatics that you see, those are the people that are actually going into it. The majority of the people, just like I said, they kind of say it to relate to it, basically. But I don't think they're driven by that evil.
So yeah, exactly. No, Ali, I need to respond to this. Sorry, I agree with that. But those majority of good people, first of all, if the non-fundamentalists are not doing evil in the name of the religion, and the fundamentalists are doing the evil in the name of the religion, that kind of shows what the fundamentals of your religion stands for, right? That the more you follow it, the more evil you are. But the point is that the good people that are the vast majority of the good people that are not following the religion, in fact, they are, because most people, like Alishba says, most people are better than the scripture that they hold sacred, right? But the problem with that is that they're providing a shield, legitimacy, authority, and immunity from criticism by their vast numbers to the people, to the minority of, and it's not just the terrorists, it's the governments, it's the theocrats, it's a whole bunch of fundamentalists that maybe are not going out and maybe bombing people, but they're spreading a whole bunch of other poison like homophobia, anti-women, transphobia, lots of crappy advice that hurts people in so many different ways. And those fundamentalists and those people that are spreading bad ideas, they need the religion is so evil that of course all these good people would not remain religious if they would have to follow it to the letter. But they need these people to just accept their religion so that people could use it as a way, this religion is the rule of the land because look at all these Muslims here. It's kind of like gym membership, right? No gym will be able to survive if all their members showed up. Okay? They have to rely on all the people that get their membership and never show up. Religion also relies on all these good people who just accept the label without actually following the religion.
I think one thing I'd add to that, Mahleej, is like I think there's a quote from Steven Weinberg. So Steven Weinberg was a physicist who actually he won the Physics Nobel Prize along with Abdus Salam, our Pakistani Abdus Salam. So they both won it that year. So he had said that there are good people who will do good things and bad people will do bad things, but for good people to do bad things, it takes religion. And that's an overarching quote. It's a general kind of quote, but like the idea was that.
I totally understand, how one can be brainwashed into everything. But like I said, the way I see it, if you look in the West, everybody is basically, majority of the Christian people had accepted a lot of things. Yes, I know there's people that are, homophobic or transphobic and stuff, but then there are certain things, even if I believed in religion or not, and it's nothing to do with the religion that, somebody shouldn't be homophobic or somebody shouldn't be trans, but where I see things going these days with the whole issues and the propaganda, then I want to speak up about it. And it's not because I'm coming from a religious background or I'm like totally against it. I just don't want 12-year-olds and 10-year-olds or 7, 8-year-olds, being transferred into something else. That's for me child abuse. So there's different ways. You don't have to be religious to talk about certain those things. So it all depends. Like if you were to talk about, that being done in Iran or in Pakistan, I'll agree with you. But in our Western countries, I think majority of them have come to that conclusion and, they've gotten their rights. Now, if you're going to keep pushing on to that I am a person that just menstruates and I'm not a woman, well then, we have a little problem. This is how I see it. So the feminists, they tried so hard, to, get freedom from men basically. But now in 2020, we're losing it again. And basically some of it too is to men that have become women now, but biologically they're still men. So we're standing at point one. I'm not for the feminists either. I just think everything has gone way out of proportion. But I think a balanced society is something that we need.
Wait, how are
The
you?
thing is,
Are you? No, wait. Hold on. You're saying that people who are they're born women and now when it comes to gender they identify as men. That is putting women's rights in danger in some way.
Well, there is instances where actually in UK there was a billboard put up with noun woman, and it was found very offensive to people, and they took it off. And then there's other papers where a woman is not being called a woman anymore; they're called people who menstruate.
Yeah, but those are
people find it offensive.
Those are very fringe examples. I mean, do you not agree that when it comes to gender, you know, people that's a lot more fluid than biological sex, and you know, some people like. So do you have an issue with men who like people that are biologically born as a woman and want to identify as men and vice versa? What's the issue with that?
I don't have a problem with anybody doing anything. I have no problem. Okay. You do whatever
That's
you
what
want
I'm asking.
in your home. No, I don't have a problem with anybody doing anything. Where I do have a problem is where you see 7, 8-year-olds, you know, a 7, 8-year-old. My daughter doesn't know any better. Tomorrow, if she comes and tells me she's a boy, she doesn't know any better, you know. And then the parents playing along with it, and then you know giving them hormones and stuff. That's something that I disagree with. Then again, if you bring in the gender role into sports, if you're gonna put a trans female or trans woman in there that was biologically a male, we've seen the results of that. They obviously win because we know men are a little bit more stronger, bigger bone structure. So all those things, these are the things that I have no problem with any transgender person or homosexual. I have no problem with anybody.
Yeah,
to me, it seems like
as long as they don't, you know, put their ideologies and their things on other people. Like you don't want other religion people to brainwash you with certain things. We don't want the same thing, you know. As long as you want to do it yourself, that's fine, you know.
To me, it seems like these are very fringe examples of like a much bigger movement when it comes to trans rights, and I think it's mostly used as distractions. Like, obviously.
I don't think it's a distraction. There's actually a lot of cases that are happening out there. It's not that. I see it with my child also happening in her school. You know, things that she brings back home, and so see if everybody. I just think of it this way: if everybody becomes a homosexual, or if everybody just transforms, you know, goes to the other side, how are we even going to reproduce? You know, I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. But I'm just saying, you know.
Well, if you're sure it's never going to happen, then why is that even an issue that you need to bring up? Like, obviously, we're never going to have to deal with that.
It's not an issue. It's not an issue. It becomes an issue when I, as a woman, I can't say I'm a woman. I have to say like I'm the person that menstruates. It's kind of insulting to me.
Who's to
them? You know, it's sometimes
is anybody seriously successfully stopping you from saying that you're a woman? Is that an act?
Not yet. Well, but
not
if
ever.
You look at it.
Armin, she has like the UN right has come out with using those terms like people who menstruate and everything. So I understand,
but nobody is gonna come say like if you are a cis woman and you come out and say, make your Facebook post like, hey, I'm a woman. I have seen a lot of crazy Wokistani crap, like from these like far, I don't know what to call them anymore. From the woke cult, I have not yet seen anybody say, "Hey, I'm a woman," and somebody say like, "You can't say that. You have to say I'm somebody who menstruates."
Maybe not here yet, but like I said, the whole trans issue, that like I said, if you look like a woman to me, I will call you a woman. If you look like a man to me, I will address you as a woman. But if you look like a man and you want me to call you a she, I'm just gonna have a little problem with that. But
why? What's the cost to you?
I'm getting to? But
What's the problem if somebody hasn't gone through the transition or doesn't want to go through the transition or is not able to go through the transition and they look like a man to you and they want to identify as a woman and they ask you, they're not demanding you, they're not forcing you, they're just asking you to identify. But what's the cost to
I
you to
understand, but you have your beliefs and then I have my beliefs, right? There are certain things that my brain tells me that is right, and then there are certain things that tells you you can do whatever you want in your personal thing. You want to be addressed, I'll call you with the female name that you have, no problem. But if I see a man, it's kind of hard for me to call
why
him
is
or
it so
her.
hard? Why is it so hard?
It
Why
is
is
because I am not programmed that way.
Yeah, so Armin, I think let me just explain this other side of it. All right, and so I have this. I've been following this whole thing with J.K. Rowling and all of that, and I actually agree with J.K. Rowling.
What?
Yeah,
I'm to the left of Ali. I'm to the left of Ali on this. It's amazing.
Yeah, no. Let me explain. So I think I agree with her and the Harry Potter guy, Daniel Radcliffe. So I think that trans women are women. All right, I do. But at the same time, that does not mean that that biological sex doesn't exist. You can believe both things.
Nobody's saying that.
Armin, you haven't been following this. That's exactly what the problem is.
Most of the people who are fighting for trans rights, they're fighting for gender. They're not. Most of them. You have there's a fringe.
But that's not the case right now. That is not the case. So what happened is that the lady that got fired, right, that J.K. Rowling was standing up for, right, that was about a denial of biological sex. So Twitter was actually removing people were getting fired because they're saying no biological sex exists. Whether it's your karyotype in rare instances cannot match the biological sex. But if it's gamete size, or large gametes, small gametes, the biological male, female that happens in nature, right? So they're saying that. So I think my view on this has always been that
you're having a different argument than what's actually the issue.
No, I'm not. Mahleej, you got to back me up on this. If you agree, obviously. Oh no, actually, even if you don't, just back me up on it because.
Well, I all have to say, like, as an atheist, he believes everything in science. So how come he has an issue with his biological sex?
That's amazing because we're not talking about biological sex. I'm agreeing with biological sex.
The conversation.
You're talking about me addressing to them what I see as a biological sex. That's what I'm going to address them for. If you really want me to call you a she, then if I saw Blair White, I would be like, oh, that's a woman. I didn't even know that was.
This is the problem with people's failure to understand.
But if Yanni shows up, then
that part, Mahleej, I don't agree with
Ali, you're confusing the discussion because we were just having a discussion about gender, and you're like, "Oh, biological sex is real," but the issue that we have right now. Hold on, Ali. No, Ali, you're making an irrelevant point. Go.
You haven't finished my point, so you don't know if I'm making it irrelevant or not. By the way, we do this a lot. Now, here's the conclusion of what I was saying. I think there are two terms. There's male and female. There's man and woman. Okay, everybody's born. Most people are born. The vast majority of people are born either male or female. But eventually, whether you're a man or a woman, just really depends on. You tell me you're a woman, I'll believe you're a woman. I don't care if you have a beard. Tell me you're a man, I'll believe you're a man if that's what you identify as. But that doesn't change that you were a biological male or a biological female. It just doesn't. If biological sex didn't exist, we wouldn't need terms.
This is what I find funny with that, because the thing is, like, if you think somebody that thinks, Muhammad flight on a donkey or whatever, you think that's kind of insane. It's the same ideology. Like, you're asking me to, okay, you have a beard, but just because you say you're a woman, I gotta call you a woman. That's kind of insane to me. Like I said, yes, there's people that are happy in that sense when they do, go on to the other side or whatever. But there is a lot of people that don't. They want to, they make a mistake. This is a phase that they were going through, and then they come back, and then, there's a lot of cases where they want to. A lot of girls cut their boobs off, and then where are you going to get your boobs now? You gotta.
That's why they have to go through so much psychological testing, and before they don't just be like, "Hey, I want to transition," and the doctor's like, "Okay, let's do it right now." It doesn't work like that. There's a lot of tests.
Well, that's fine. I'm not arguing with that. I'm not arguing that trans people shouldn't have any rights. That's fine, but at the same time,
I didn't
they
say you did.
shouldn't be coming into our rights when it comes to women. Now
That-
you're having problem with women that are actually biological women, and they find this term offensive. That's when it becomes my problem, you know.
So
So
like 99% of the people that are fighting for trans rights, they're saying they're not arguing about biological sex. They're talking about when you say, "Hey, I'm a woman, come please identify me as a woman." This is not about biological sex. This is about gender. This is about identity is about gender. Identity is not about biological sex. So every time we talk about when we're talking about identifying with their gender, and people are like, "Oh, how can you deny science, biology? There's
I identify people by what I see, you know,
right.
like when I see people, if I see a dog, I'm going to identify that as a dog. If I see
identity,
a sheep,
identity
when I
is
see something, and if I see a big, like if I see Jessica Yaniv, I'm not going to call Jessica, I'll call her Jessica, but I'm not going to call her her. Come on. You know,
identity
you can't
is
force
something
people to do that either. You can't. And this is the problem.
That's a
when
straw
you're
man.
forcing people, that makes them even.
No, Ali, Ali, you already talked.
Away
It's
from
my
the
turn.
whole
No,
thing,
we're going off topic. I wanted to.
No, this is more interesting. This is more interesting. It's very interesting because again, the straw man. Notice the straw man here, because I'm not talking about that 1% that is trying to force you to say anything. I'm talking about the 99% that is requesting you. So every time you mention force, you're arguing with a position that I'm not even bringing up. No, I'm not talking about the people that.
Requesting is different. Like I said, if Blair requested me, she doesn't even have to request because she looks like a woman. So I will be referring to her
but that's
as a
different.
female. But if you're expecting me to call a big macho guy with a big beard her, I mean, I'm sorry, I can't. I can't do it. I just can't.
Well, I'm sorry that I'm sorry, but I don't care about the fact that like you calling somebody that wants to be identified as a woman, as she or her. And hold on, let me finish the thought. But the amount of discomfort that, oh my God, it's so hard. Like this guy looks like a man, and I'm gonna like. That's compared to somebody being the psychological trauma that somebody goes through. We know these people are like the amount of suicidal thought that these people go through for the identity, for being misgendered. So I'm sorry, but I don't see how difficult it is or how much trauma you have to go through for like, oh, this person looks like this. Identity is you're saying like they look like this, so I'm going to identify them like this, but identity is something that you pick for yourself. It's very interesting because we just started talking about you picking your identity, Parsi, Muslim,
exactly,
and you were choosing
Parsi.
Yeah, because you chose it, but you're not giving them that choice. You're like, no, I pick your identity.
No, I give them
instead of thing. They should let their identity.
Armin, let the guest.
No, you don't give. Okay, you won't give anybody to identify to a certain religion. Okay, because you think that they shouldn't identify with any religion. At the same time, yes, they can identify as whatever they want, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to go along with that. You can, a person can be identifying as a Muslim, but you're not going to believe that. Okay, Muhammad did fly on, and you're going to be like, yes, I believe that. So
nobody says that you should.
Same context. So I don't have to believe if a person is saying, okay, they can identify as whatever they want, but that doesn't mean that I have to go along with that.
No. I have to answer. It's fine. I'm not saying that you should.
Circles.
I have to answer. I have to answer. No, this is the last. This is the last. No, I'm not. This is the last comment.
No, the last comment will go to the guest. Okay.
Okay. This is my last comment.
Okay.
This is my last. Ali, you're making this so much worse. Just be quiet for 1 second. It's fine if no, I'm going to mute Ali. He's not letting me speak. So nobody is okay. Fine. You're being sent a request to identify people in a certain way. You refuse to because it's so difficult for you for some reason, even though it's harder for them to be misgendered. In response, we're not going to nobody should be forcing you to identify people in a way that they don't want, but we should also be able to call you out for being so heartless, to be fair.
Heartless? You call people out all the time on their religion. What about their feelings? Don't you think their feelings get hurt? Of course, they want to get suicidal.
It's about
people because you say something. No, it is the same thing. When you call out somebody, it's the same thing. The second thing is, it's not. You think,
it's a
for
harm.
example, Jessica Yani, if you think she looks so depressed and she's gonna go commit suicide tomorrow, you know, the thing is, majority of the trans people are not even going after this madness. Majority of them, I have been around trans people. Okay, I knew a person that went through all this system, wanted to commit suicide, but I also saw the person milk our system for money. And you know, I would say now she's a he. So I saw him how to use the whole system. He was a very smart person, you know. But I'm not saying that all of them are. No, this is just certain people that want to have this propaganda and going on it. And I just don't want to be, you know, for example, we have the sports issue, we have the washroom issue. Like, where does it stop? You want like men that hasn't even, you know, done any kind of transformation. You want them in our washroom when my 6-year-old daughter is there? Like, come on. Why would you want that? What I don't understand that.
Because there has been no proven threat from any of that. That's just like
do you want
fear mongering.
Are you waiting till something happens and then we're not comfortable around men? I'm not comfortable in a change room around men. Simple. You know, and you look like a man.
They're not men.
You are a man. Then I'm so sorry to, like, you know, say on to that. That's just what I see you, and you identify as whatever you want. Same thing with religion.
But if we call you out on that, you
out on that, I have no problem. But like I said, one way you're believing in science, and then the other way you're not believing in science.
You're not believing in science. Gender dysphoria is part of science. That's a real science.
You can see. That's fine. But you can also see.
Just because because somebody hasn't gone through transition, that doesn't mean they don't have gender dysphoria. But anyways, Ali, go on.
Okay, yeah. So do you guys want to talk about this more, or should we move on? Because
let's go. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about how you had to deal with the modesty police and what, like, your experiences with that, like because of your, you know, pictures and people. Do you get a lot of shit from people? Okay, and can you tell us a little bit about that and some examples?
So when it all started when I did Miss Pakistan World. Before that, I used to be on Ed the Sock. I don't know if you remember.
I know Ed the Sock. I love it.
Yeah, so I used to be one of the top girls. I didn't flash or anything, but I was like the first Pakistani girl on there. And then somebody told me about doing Miss Pakistan World that happened here. So I got into it because I was interested in all that. I didn't know that it was gonna blow up when I won. Actually, they made this fake news, you know, and this is where I got to know what media is, because they created this news that I was in love with President Musharraf. And at that time, Musharraf was under a lot of heat, you know, and saying that I'm a Balochi girl and I support him. And, you know, the Balochistan issue going on with the army, I didn't know any of it.
Okay,
I didn't know anything.
Can you explain some of that so the audience knows what we're talking about because we're getting into local Pakistani stuff. So
there is a huge issue. I don't know too much about it, but with Balochistan, there is a huge issue going on with the government. The army. The army has been in Balochistan, and they've been basically, you know, depriving them from all those their rights, Pakistani rights. And they want to kind of separate from Pakistan. So this has been going on for a long time. I wasn't aware of that. This was in 2007. I was not into politics. I was into more doing beauty stuff, you know. So when I did Miss Pakistan and I won, and I was not in the Pakistani community at all of a sudden, when this news went out, it was all over the place. It kind of made it big. It went all viral to India.
Yeah, I read about that, the whole thing about how you wanted to date the president.
Yeah. So that news got really big. And then India, some of the channels called us, you know, we did some interviews and stuff. And then we were called to Nadia Khan's show in Dubai, which was, I didn't speak proper English. Like, this woman that did the pageant made me read the whole Musharraf's book on the way there in the plane. And so when we went to the interview, she was very nice to us, but then she was taking in questions more negative. And so during this time is when I saw the whole backlash coming towards me. I wasn't expecting this, you know. It was just like, oh my God, who is this girl? This girl shouldn't be, representing Pakistan, because she said a Muslim girl, and I'm there holding a Pakistani flag in a bikini. So that wasn't taken very well. I had threats coming in Canada, from people in Canada. And it was just, it was a little part where I did actually get scared. I was like, what have I gotten myself into? But, people forget. So that kind of wore off till this year. Till this year. And then those things, my social media and stuff, I always get like rude comments anyways. There's always people from Pakistan going, oh, why are you wearing this? What are you wearing? It's been 10 years. Now I don't even pay attention to it. But what I found very interesting was that I was getting such backlash here. But then when I went back to Pakistan and I worked in the media, there is certain class of people that can wear whatever they want. If you want to go drink, you can have the most lavish lifestyle if you wanted to, if you're a certain class. But then if you go into the poorer class, or, people that are a little not educated, then it's a different story. The rules are different for the elites and everything else is different for them. So I used to always be like, how come they're criticizing me, But you have to understand there's a certain mindset that is totally religious fanatics. There's a certain mindset that are, they don't really care. And then you have the elites that really don't believe in them. Most of them don't really believe in any religion. They just don't say it. Yeah.
Do you notice that the threats is coming mostly from the Muslim community or no?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because the thing is, most of the time they see me speaking in my language, and then of course my face, so they automatically think I'm Muslim, right? And then when I say I'm not, and they're like, "Thank God!" Even today, I was like, "He's like, thank God, you're gonna burn in hell." And I'm like, did God send you a certificate with that I was gonna burn in hell? Like, how do you have the authority of doing it? And just me saying that, they're like, "Oh, what did you say about Allah? Oh my God!" I was like, yeah, I get this year it's been really bad. Like I've been getting rape threats. Even my child, somebody was like, they send her rape threats and stuff, and I'm just like, I don't understand.
Do you ever receive death threats or rape threats from anyone other than Muslims?
No, never.
No, I think it's because there is this little sort of this weird sort of iconic mismatch, because you are Miss Pakistan World, Pakistan Islamic Republic of Pakistan, right? And then you are totally not looking the way that they want their women to look. When they think of like a Pakistani woman, they think of a woman with nice hijab, modest and everything. You're the exact opposite. So that mismatch, I think, completely outrages people. It makes them very, very upset. But
you know what? There's been so many Miss Pakistans. Like this woman started this in 2003 or 4. There's been many of them. First of all, none of them have ever gone back to Pakistan because they were scared for their life. I was the first one to actually take that risk to go back there. Secondly, if it comes to clothing, we have a lot of media personalities, models. They wear whatever they want. They wear bikinis. Yeah. If you go onto their Instagram, you'll see, But the thing is, mostly people come to me because I talk the way I talk. I raise different issues. They don't talk about religion. They don't shake the ground, right? They just like go with the flow, whatever is good. Yes, when it comes to Eid, it's happy Eid, happy Ramadan. They don't stir the pot. Whereas when, it comes to women's issue, I call them out when there's, little girls being raped and buried alive. It's not always positive. I do promote positiveness, but I like to raise awareness, and I've had a lot of women reach out to me that way too. I have a lot of atheists that reach out to me too. They just, I guess, need somebody to talk to. So
yeah, I get that. So so what you're saying, and that's good. It's I should have thought of that. It's not that now, especially nowadays, it's not as big a deal for Pakistani, especially like beauty pageant contestants, to necessarily wear revealing clothing or anything. I mean, the models and everything, they do that in Pakistan all the time. We see it.
Yeah.
But the reason that they come after you is not just because of that.
No.
because the other people are doing it too, but it's because of the things that you say and the kind of things that you actually speak up about things that others can't.
Yeah.
Right. So, or others.
I would say like it depends, right? Like they do say to others, like I don't know if you heard about that Halima Sultan story, you know, the Turkish actress that did what was that Turkish series there everywhere, Ertugrul. So she posted a picture in bikini and there was all the Pakistanis there lecturing her on how she should be dressing up. So she even turned off her comments. So you know you're gonna get those people, but after 10 years, I just take their negative comments and I just roast them. I just think that's what's been my strength, you know. It doesn't bother me anymore. Yeah, if there is threats coming to me from Canada, there is a lot of people in Mississauga that don't like me and they make it very clear. But when I have to call, I've called cops on a couple of people that did threaten me and stuff. Like I said, like I don't personally attack any religion. I talk about the women's issue, but they bring religion into everything. And of course I talk about I don't want, you know, Sharia law coming in Canada because I like this place the way it is.
Yeah, I don't think Sharia law is going to come. Armin.
No, I don't think it's gonna come. But I have and I'm asking this not to make fun of Muslims. I do that often though.
This is gonna be fun.
But I'm asking this genuinely as like this is a serious question, like not just pointing out something that is ridiculous. Okay, what do you think it's about a lot of Muslims? Again, hashtag not all. A lot of Muslims that makes them get triggered more by women's skin more than genocide, rape threats, death threats, terrorism. Like, what is it about, actually mostly what they call their women, as if like it's not about like Western, like white, you know, non-Muslims. If they're showing skin, it doesn't matter. But if it's a Pakistani woman, or if it's an Iranian woman, or an Arab woman, or Bengali woman, and they decide to show some skin, what is it that makes them lose their mind as if this is like a human rights violation?
That's a good question.
Well, it's because you're representing basically their religion the wrong way. You're not supposed to be that. You know, that's basically what it comes down to. I can't find of any other solution or any other, you know. Yeah, they you know what? Yeah, they don't care for anybody else doing it. Like even when I say that I'm not Muslim, then they're like, okay. But they will always say that you will burn in hell.
No, but this is what I think. Yeah, no, but this is why I think that this is such a great question, especially the way that Armin phrased it, is that, you know, they like you're saying that they don't want their women revealing any skin or anything like that because they think that it misrepresents their religion, right? Exactly. And they like to think of their religion as great, but then they counter it with rape threats, death threats, honor killings, you know, the actual rape and death and killing. I mean, they counter it that way. I mean, you've seen those threats. I mean, they're vile. I know that my wife's gotten them. You know, Armin's gotten loads directed to his wife. You know, and it's always to the woman. It's always to the women relatives. They get it, but somehow that doesn't misrepresent the religion. Like for them, they don't think that makes it. It's a bizarre.
Well, certain things, like because in their religion it tells them it's okay because this person is doing wrong. So it is okay to, for some reason, they have to tell everybody that is, and poke their nose in everybody's life and tell them what they're doing wrong. They have been given this permission. That's what they say, you know. Oh, well, in our religion, if we see something being wrong, we have to say something to them. At least we have to say something to it. So, you know, they just think of it that way. I think it's just, you know, how they're raised, lack of education, all these things. I find most of it I receive from Pakistan is, most of them are actually not very well educated people, even though I have had some things, you know, with very well educated people too. So, but it's the culture, and then, you know, religion pushes them into it. Like I can only relate to the tribalism I saw, you know, in my dad's family, but I didn't see that in my mom's family. But I can understand where the tribalism came from. You know, they were landlords, women are just nothing. But then also there's religion that influences a lot of those things, you know. So basically it comes down to the religion, that women should not be dressed that way.
Yeah, it's have you when you came here? Are there any people that you met who were like-minded that you spoke like as you're going on this journey, the spiritual journey? You're coming out speaking up for women's rights and the plight of women and all the suffering that they're going through in Pakistan and everything.
Before you answer that, can I actually test what I would answer to that, and to see if you guys agree? To me, it seems, and again, this might be completely wrong, but to me, what the role of religion is to and culture is to make women seem like something men own, right? As like they see it as a property, and revealing it seems like it's not like property like as in like a car or a fridge. It's more like property, like a movie that you paid for. Like if other people see it without paying, like without owning it, it's kind of like that's the kind of steal. Like it feels like it's been stolen from them as something that was their right to have. So it's kind of looking at women as property mixed with jealousy if other people are getting access to their property without going through the religious permission and the divine authority that was theirs. And plus mixed with a lot of sexual frustration. It's a mix of those three things that makes them so... I don't know if that's accurate. That's just
I
my
think
theory.
it all comes. The sexual frustration also is caused by the religion, because you're not supposed to have sex before you get married. Now, if a guy who is 27, I met somebody that was 27, 28 in Pakistan, that I was like, "Oh, are you a virgin?" And he was a virgin. So,
oh my God,
what are you gonna do when you're like 30 years old? You're gonna just do anything that comes in front of you. So again, that is also caused by sexual deprivation that they're causing them. Also, don't forget, there's a lot of segregation of gender. When I grew up there, that was one thing, that when I was around my dad, or like I was only allowed to talk to my cousins or men in the family, even though I was going to cadet school and I had 7 guys in my class. I remember one time I invited all of them to my birthday party, and I was like, I had to call everyone bhai. Oh, hi, bhai. Oh, you bhai, just in front of my dad.
Bhai means brother. Yeah.
Brother. Yeah. So give them that respect. Otherwise, he didn't allow, he didn't ask, he didn't like us talking to men or boys. I remember there was one, this is when I was growing older, because my dad was also, you would call exactly a man like that. He wanted my mom to, cover up sometimes, but he wanted her all the time under her control. He was a very jealous person. But as I was maturing, I was getting older, all those things were going to apply to me now. And we were in a ice cream parlor. We were just eating. And I guess there was a guy that kind of walked across from me, a little, like a boy my age at that time, 13, 14. So I kind of went like this. And there goes my dad. He's like, control your eyes. And I just remember it till this day. And my mom's like, he just walked in front of her and he's like, you shut up. You don't say this. And then same trip, I remember there was another boy that was serving us, and he looked at me and he was just like, you better get your eyes off of her. So, that protectiveness, I have felt that, like, and it's crazy. Yeah. And then, they will beat you up. There comes the physical abuse then. I have faced it. My mom faced it all her life. So seeing all that is, like I said, it is all according to the religion, because the religion tells you to do that. We're not as smart. We're half of a man's, value. And so we are their property, basically.
I think that there's also another, that there are two things, like men biologically, they have been endowed with physical strength, right? Mm-hmm. And women, I think the thing that really scares the shit out of men is that women have naturally biologically been endowed with a sexual strength, like in the sense that there are kings and emperors.
It scares you, Ali. Don't project to
I'm immune to it. I got castrated a long time ago. That's why I'm on the left. But anyway, I'm kidding, by the way. That's not right. But anyway, so what happens is that
Ali enjoys bashing on men to get some points from simping on women. Well, he does. He enjoys
that. Just wait.
Okay.
I'm not gonna. No.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm very happy being a man, and I like it. It's fun. I've been one for a while. I'm very good. I was very good at puberty. It was like a hobby for me. But anyway, let's move on. So and I wrote about this in my book actually. You had this idea of Mary who was a virgin, and she had to be a virgin to be pure and innocent. And that is a fundamental. That's believed in Christianity and Islam, the world's two biggest religions. Sacred figure, virgin, and God forbid a penis ever came close to her, because if she did, then she wouldn't be innocent anymore. She wouldn't be. We call it losing our virginity. We call it losing innocence. So all of this. There are emperors, there are US presidents like Bill Clinton, there are people who did everything right, rose to the top of power, but they couldn't resist this one thing and they were brought down. And that is a threat. That is threat. That freaks people out. That freaks a lot of men out, because they see this stuff and they see that that's where the power is. So they have also convinced women that if they exploit that power, then they are whores, they're prostitutes, they are, they're using a part. Why would you sell your body to do anything? Why would you use your body to gain advantage? Whereas if you're a male laborer and all you're doing is using your body, it's blood, sweat, and tears. I'm sweating, I'm making money, I'm being a man. So there's that, I think, more than all the other crap that we talk about with misogyny and sexism, I think it's so fundamentally rooted in this, it's just purely about sexuality, and it's seen as a threat, and it goes right. This is why I said the quote that Armin quoted of mine, where I said that if you don't fight religion, you're not fighting patriarchy. I really believe that. I think that every religion, including the Parsis, including Buddhism, they have, if you read their tenets, they all talk about serving your husband. Your husband is your master. The man is this. It has all been done to keep down this threat, and that's
well. If you look in the history, we will see that even though women had a lot of vital roles to play, in kings' lives and emperors and everything, but at the same time, they were never really given the rights. But we have come far from that, and the only countries where you actually see women have rights are the Catholic countries, I would say. The West. At least I would say that they have moved away from that, whereas other religions that you can see still don't provide you with those rights. So I look at it in this way, that at least, we are where we are right now. But then again, like I'm not a one-man basher either. I have dated, different colored guys, white guys, black guys. And let me tell you that the least judgmental people were the Canadian ones. My Desi guys are the most they're the first ones to judge me. And first thing is like, oh, you're not even Muslim. So there goes
a nation of simps.
What is a simp? I don't know this. Is that what I am right now?
But yes, you don't know it because you're one of them. But go on.
So that's what their thing is. Oh my God, this girl drinks. Oh my God, this girl wears these kind of clothes. Or you're in that whole thing. Oh my God, this girl's making more money than me. Oh my God, she has a better house than me. Then there's a lot of different things that come up that I find with the brown guys. Whereas when I dated.
There's another thing about the brown guys, like you were talking about the 27-year-old virgin that you met. Is that they're caught between the Western values and their Islamic values. So Islam says, don't stay a virgin until you get married. Don't have sex until you're married. So no premarital sex. But then the Western values and the English medium education that they have says that no, first get your career and your degree and go to financially secure, and then you get married. They've combined the two. Now in the Western values, people have premarital sex. They don't abstain. The Eastern thing, people get the mullahs, they get married very, very early, but they've combined the two. So now they're staying virgins until like 27, 28. And then you have a nation of sexually frustrated men who are just out there and they look at everything as a possession and conquest.
You know what? Don't think that they're not having sex. A lot of these men are having sex, but they're having sex with boys because, then they're not really breaking the law or the religion per se. But
they're not. The thing is that people who are abstaining from sex with girls, like that's not necessarily true, because like I know a lot of these guys. I grew up with many of them. If they're not,
I'm saying there is, but I also know of men that I know that have had sex with men that because they couldn't do it with women,
No,
or
that is a separate thing. Okay, so
Yeah.
let me just explain. I don't want to interrupt you, but what I'm talking about is that people who think that it is wrong, it's Islamically wrong to engage in premarital sex, like these kinds of people, because they think it's Islamically wrong, for them it's also Islamically wrong to have sex with men, right? So they're not going to do either. But I think what you're talking about, and you're right about that, is that where there is sexual repression, people who cannot do it, wanting to, then they resort to going to boys and there is a lot of, like in Saudi Arabia, in prisons or wherever there's gender segregation, you end up having a lot of sort of homosexual activity as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like the fanatics that you are talking about, I would call them the fanatics that follow to the book, of course. Yeah, I speak about this on my shows all the time. I'm like, if you're not going to have sex till you're 30, your thing is not going to work for too long, because you got to have that part of the body doing something, and that's why a lot of men, if you hear, have a problem erecting their penis because they can't get it up,
You mentioned something that I don't know if I understood or not, so I don't know if I should be triggered yet. So you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Okay, Ali, can you you spoke for a while and didn't say anything? Like, just
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that
no. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that's a contradiction. All right. You mentioned
find a word like simp.
Oh my god! All right, I'm gonna mute Ali again because he's not letting me speak. So you mentioned that the countries that some countries that provide women rights are the Catholic ones. Is that what you mentioned? Like, can you clarify what you mean?
Well, the Western countries, I would say, like U.S., Europe, Canada.
U.S. is Protestant. Canada is Protestant. You mean Christian?
Well, Christian countries, not Catholic.
Christian majority. Yeah.
Okay. Let's just be okay. I just have to clarify that the fact that these countries have more women rights has nothing to do with their Christianity. It's in fact the values. In fact, the reason why these countries have better women rights is because they were the most successful at fighting Christianity.
No, I never said that. It was because of Christianity.
I know you didn't say that. I know you didn't say that.
Was the only one that reformed and gave the rights. Like, you know what I mean? In other countries, we're still fighting for it.
Wait, sorry. What did you say?
I said that it's only in the Christian countries that we were able to get these rights, because they're not following the same things that were taught to them,
No, I mean, Christianity itself is extremely anti-woman. And I know you didn't suggest it was because of Christianity, but it's important that we always mention that the Christian countries' women's rights record is better right now because they fought against Christianity, not because of Christianity. And in fact,
I totally agree with it.
I know you agree with me. I just want to. I just think it's important that we like every time that we put these things next to each other to clarify. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just wanting to clarify countries that are not Christian who adopted the same Enlightenment values as some of these Western countries like Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Hong Kong. They also have better human rights record, even though they don't have a history of Christianity. It was the Enlightenment values that made these countries have better values, not Christianity. I know you don't disagree with me on that. I just want to make sure that we always, it's important for me to always clarify that Christianity had nothing to do with it. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's just certain countries that don't mix religion and state. It's just like once you take religion out of ruling the country, it's a different country then. So the countries that have been able to manage to do that have given women some rights, because, like I said, in every religion, if you go back in the history, women were not given all their rights. Women were always looked at the second-class citizen. Some more, some less, but they all did.
Yeah. Okay, so we only have a few more minutes left. We've got like 10 more minutes, so we can go into some patron questions.
Send us your questions in the live chat. Susanna had a good question really early.
But I want to ask you one more thing, because we want to touch on this. Well, so I was looking to remember when I messaged you. I was like, we disagree on a lot of things, so I want to get into the disagreements.
Yeah.
I feel like we already covered that a whole lot. So this whole thing, but I wanted to ask you. You mentioned something. You had a Facebook status or something about. Remember the thing that you said about atheists and how they
atheists not liking Trump.
Not liking Trump, and why is that? So you wanted to know why that is.
Wait, guys, I didn't hear what you just said because you were speaking at the same time. Can you tell me again what was it that was said?
So I'll just explain it really quickly, and Mahleej will take it from there. So I read a status that Mahleej had where she was talking about atheists. She's like, "What's wrong with atheists? Why don't they like Trump? Why do they think everything that he does is bad?" Or it was something like that. I'll try to find.
Oh wow! I'm very triggered. Let's hear this.
So the 10th time tonight.
Apparently, I trigger people, all over the place.
This is, by the way, this is great. Why
really didn't you bring this up earlier? This could have been the entire episode.
Because you guys talked about trans rights for like 20 minutes. That's why.
Okay. Jesus. This is okay. Go on.
I was supposed to bring things up when I'm muted. Okay. Anyway, but I can. By the way, everybody, I can unmute myself. This isn't. Like,
yes.
Yeah. I know that you don't like Trump, and then I have a couple of other people. One is Seth, I forget his last name, but he's also an atheist, and he's also posting up there. And it's so funny because I went and I commented something on his thing. I was kind of trolling, and then oh my god, all the anti-Trump people came up there, and I'm like, I never even said I support him or not. I just wanted to. It was about the mask. So I wrote he didn't wear a mask. You had a problem. Then he wear a mask. Then he had a problem. I'm like, you're never happy. So they all came after me, and I just left them there.
I wanted to answer that question for you, like that question, and I wanted to answer it seriously because I think that it is a good question and it's legitimate. But I will. But you had to. Were you saying something? I think I don't want to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So first for the mask thing. So when Trump wore the mask, right? It's like whatever I wrote in there. It's like wearing a condom after you finished, or it's like where after a car crash you put on your seatbelt, right? After everybody in the car is dead, it's like so. It was a late, but anyway, I want to talk about the broader thing about atheists because I get asked this a lot, and there are people like, "Oh, I loved all your positions, and you were opposing Islam, and all of that, but now I don't like you anymore because you're against Trump." And the answer to that is the reason that I always despise religion, and this is true for a lot of atheists because most atheists do oppose Trump very, strongly, is that religion is very anti-science. It's an assault on truth. It gets people to believe things just because somebody said it a long time ago, not because of evidence, right? They take things that if there's something that Muhammad wrote in the Quran, right? They will say, no, he didn't mean that. He actually meant it this. You're interpreting wrong. You've heard all this. They do the same thing with Trump's tweets. Like the people who follow him, they're like, oh, no, he didn't mean this. So all of the horrifying things that appear in these scriptures are justified because they say that, no, this person can do no wrong. So there are a lot of parallels for me between like this kind of cultish thing and the religion thing. And it reminds me, I grew up in Saudi Arabia as well. So it really reminds me of the way they do things there. Like now you have all of the virus information for coronavirus. It's not going to the CDC. It's now going to Trump. And then everybody's slamming China. And this is exactly the kind of thing that China and Saudi Arabia do. So people, I had Muhammad derangement syndrome before. I have Trump derangement syndrome now, but I find them parallel. The only other thing that people say to me, they're like, well, he's not as bad because he's not chopping off heads. He's not throwing gays from rooftops. And I'm like, well, that's a really low standard. Like really, that's the best argument to have. He's not chopping off heads. Then you're in a bad position. So
okay, I think Trump is horrible, but I also think it's possible for somebody to be too obsessed with Trump, like Ali is.
I am. Well, it's like you're too obsessed with Muhammad, right?
Not as much as you're obsessed with Trump.
I think when Trump decided that he was going to run for the president, everything kind of changed. That is basically when I had my awakening about everything that was going on here and, in the politics and stuff. That's when I think a lot of people kind of woke up to what was happening. I've seen him say a lot of things and then, certain things haven't been done. But I think he has been given so much controversy after controversy, different things to deal with. like always there's something or the other news, I think the left is gone too crazy with just trying to prove that he is wrong. And, I find him the lesser of the evil because of what we just saw, what was happening, like the whole US was burning. Yeah, you say that he values Christian values and stuff, some things that I don't agree with him, but you don't always have to agree 100% with everyone. Certain things I do agree with him, that he should put his country first. The immigration laws I agree with, like if everyone can just come here illegally. I know a lot of people that came here, not a lot, but a few people
Nobody's
that
saying that
illegally, and then lied and got asylums and all this stuff, and are milking the system. So there is those flaws that are out there,
No,
but
but
there was
Mali,
nobody.
the thing is,
no, Ali,
you can say-
already spoke. Ali,
no, I want to respond.
just-
I want to respond to this. So
Yeah.
this is, listen, you did the thread. I want to do. We're going to take turns fighting with you. So the thing with, there's two ways you can talk about it. If you're talking about immigration, you can say that we are a country of immigrants. And this is what all the other presidents have said. They're like, but we need border control because we can't take in everybody. We really want to. We know a lot of people are hurting out there. We want to do it. That's who we are, but we can't. We just simply can't, and we need our borders. That's one way you can say it. Everybody said it's never been a problem. But then you can say we need to close the border because they're rapists. There's Jews coming here. There's a caravan heading towards the border. There's this. So it's not about it's not necessarily about the policy, right? Like Hillary Clinton, these guys, they all had strong border policy. The Obama administration deported more illegal immigrants than even the Trump administration, right? But it is the way that you bring in the rhetoric. It's the kind of the mentality that comes in, and that mentality of his is more Saudi than it is American, right? It's
But
not.
he's not a politician. He was a businessman, right?
Yeah,
Why do people get triggered by me? Because sometimes I use words or say things that are uncomfortable for people. Yeah, he shouldn't have said the rapist thing, but his stance on closing down the border.
He's a war criminal. He's a war criminal. He's a war criminal.
Even a lot of people call him misogynist because he was talking like that and a lot of women like argue with me on that, and I'm like, you know what? I know of a lot of men that talk like this, and he was not talking about it in front of other people. And especially if you have money,
women also choose to have the
powerful,
burqa.
you can get anyone, what you've got. So just to call him out on that, I think we should call everybody else out on it as well.
Okay, what about calling out people? What about calling out? Okay, so you're saying like, oh, the country is literally on fire. It's not. The riots are nothing compared to, like this. Like this shows to me that how Americans are spoiled when they think the sky is literally falling down because of a few riots here and there. Yes, they were bad, but they're not as bad as people exaggerate them to be. Well, if you want to actually look at what it looks, what it really looks like when the country is on fire, look at the Trump-aided war on Yemen, which was supported by both Obama, but much more by Trump, of innocent civilians funded for, aided, and also authorized by the U.S. government, of Saudi planes jumping, raining fire on children in the hundreds of thousands, putting hundreds of thousands of children at the brink of starvation. I mean, to me, it's even amazing that people are like, oh, yeah, his tone is bad. Oh, this tweet or that bad. This man has blood on his hand. This man has more blood on his hand than many United States.
Back in the days, how many countries? Like, look at Middle East. Why is the Middle East the way it is? Trump wasn't even in the picture. They all went into Middle East and destroyed Middle East.
This is classic. This is classic whataboutism. I'm not talking about the other bad things that other bad people do. I'm talking about what Trump did.
Criticize anybody else like the way we criticize Trump. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah, no.
I do.
And I agree with you. I agree with you when he was like, we're going to put a ban on Muslim countries, and he banned a lot of countries, but didn't ban Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. Of course, I understand what is going on behind the scene as well. There's a lot of things, like he said he was going to do, he didn't do because he can't. He talks a lot of things that gets people riled up, and he stays in the news. He doesn't.
So sad. He couldn't help it but drop fire on innocent children.
So I think that Armin here, Mahleej has a good point. Okay, and here's what it is. Here's what it is.
No, I know what your point is, and it's shit. But go on.
Okay, all right.
Go on.
Great argument, Armin.
No, I will tell you why it's shit after. The argument will come after you make your shitty point.
So the thing is that what you're saying is that there are other presidents who do the same thing, but Trump is getting a disproportionate amount of hate, especially from, you said atheists, for doing something that other presidents did. But what I want to say, the response to that is, first of all, Armin knows that we completely agree on Yemen. We think that's one of the worst things. There are things that Trump has uniquely done that have put blood on his hands in a way that other presidents wouldn't have. Okay, he went to, in the John Bolton book. Okay, he actually went and he met this the guy, the President Xi, this guy in China, right? And when they were talking about the concentration camps, he said, "No, that's exactly the right thing to do," because he was trying to protect a trade deal. He wanted the Chinese to buy soybeans, and he actually said, he was saying things like, "Okay, as long as you please invest in our agriculture, please do that. Yeah, the concentration camps, fine." There's like almost 2 million people right now in concentration camp, Uyghur Muslims, in underground concentration camps, being loaded onto buses, just like the Holocaust. Okay, they are being trafficked. Their organs are being harvested. I mean, it's just, this should be the biggest news story. This is something that is uniquely him. Our friend.
I'm surprised I haven't heard it on the news. Usually CNN is all over it, but
CNN should be. CNN is full of, like, it's just, I agree with you.
I find it hypocritical because, we have Justin Trudeau here who said that he loves communism, and we're supporting him. Yeah. I think it's not fair. If we're going to criticize him, we should criticize the right and the left, I don't know. I haven't heard him say that, but at the same time, he has taken a lot of, big stance against China as well. Yeah. Maybe he said that at that time. Because a lot of people have to say things, even like for your mask. I think he just wore a mask because people were saying to wear a mask. He just, for the heck of it, he wore a mask once. I don't think you're going to see him wear it again.
Yeah, but I think
poor Trump, so sad. People were making fun of him for wearing a mask. Oh no, Trump! I'm so sad for him. How could he? We got
the point, Armin. We just get it. Armin's. But okay, so one thing I have to congratulate you on, and he was amazing. I love how much you triggered Armin in this episode. It's like I'm truly enjoying it.
My triggering is.
I get triggered on. I'm pretty sure.
No.
I enjoy being triggered. I think it's justified.
I want to say one thing. Look, so Justin Trudeau has a big blind spot when it comes to Islamism and all that, Islam and all of that other stuff, the Islamic terrorism. And he has a lot of blind spots when it comes to this whole Wokistani thing too. But whenever Justin Trudeau went and spoke to the Saudis, for instance, and whenever Chrystia Freeland, they brought up the issue of Raif Badawi. Okay, Raif Badawi is someone that we know personally. Okay, do you know about his case? That he's in prison in Saudi Arabia? So he's in prison in Saudi Arabia. Raif Badawi. He's in.
Oh, okay. I think is that his wife that has been looking for him?
Yeah.
Oh.
So there's now on the other hand, now Trump says a lot of these things about Saudi Arabia, but he went and he was sword dancing with them behind the scenes, right? If there is a Republican like Marco Rubio who actually does take these positions, who I disagree with on everything else, but he does take these positions against China, against the Saudis, and he openly does it. Trudeau, as you know, Canada cut ties with the Saudis because of it. But this guy, he talks tough. This is the biggest, and it's even more dangerous than anything else. He talks against like, oh yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But when he meets Putin in Helsinki, he's kissing his ass. When he meets like Kim Jong-un, he's kissing his ass. He's doing the same thing with the Saudis, MBS, defending the Khashoggi killing, defending all of these, bombing Yemen.
You don't want to, even with the North Korea and stuff, like of course you don't want to make things worse, right? You want to make things better between the countries. I can understand like him going all blah 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 blah, but when he gets there, of course reality kicks in. But with Trudeau, we also have 2 of Canadians that are in China, and he's not doing anything about that either. So it's just like they pick and choose their battles, basically. Trudeau wants to make it look like he's doing something in Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, he knows like all the Islamists and everything. Saudi is pouring all this, stuff here. He's totally blinded to it. I don't think he's blinded to it. He gets big funding from them. So,
We'll
Yeah.
disagree on that, but you can have the last word unless Armin has anything to say.
No, can I just address one of the one comment from Patreon before we do the last statement from our guest? One thing.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Alex is saying, I'm going to respond to that. As saying, Armin, Christianity is not a monolith. Yes, I know it's not a monolith. There's many different sects, but the parts that they share, which is the Bible, it's shit. Even the core of the part that is they all share. I could criticize all of Christianity as a batshit crazy, barbaric, ancient, moronic ideology. Given that all of them share the part that they all share is has that attribute. Then he continues saying, you can counter the bad parts without countering the good parts. Yeah, and the bad parts are the vast majority of them, and the good parts are simplistic, naive, feel good, fuzzy messages that before the Bible existed in much more nuanced and detailed way and were discussed by much better philosophers than whoever wrote the Bible. So the good parts does not deserve the credit, and the bad parts are the vast majority of the religion. Then Alex continues by saying, to say oppose Christianity is ambiguous and misleading. I don't think at all that it's misleading. It seems pretty obvious what opposing Christianity means, but if it's very misleading and ambiguous to you, let me clarify it. Fuck Christianity. Christianity should have died 1,000 years ago, but I hope that through our activism we could speed up the process. It needs to go. It needs to die. I hope that clarifies any ambiguity. Anyways.
I actually agree with every word of that, I have to say.
Okay, good.
So, Mahleej, we're going to go to some patron questions. This turned out really interesting. There's a lot of other things I wanted to talk about. We ended up talking about completely different things. But anyway, Armin, do you have any? Can you?
No. Let's hear from our guest.
Yes, yeah. Mahleej, do you have anything to say at the end? You can feel free to slam.
And remember to ask to tell people where to follow you and where to find you and your website and your Instagram and your Facebook page. But what do we do first, Ali? Patron questions or? Yeah,
let's do patron questions first. So
okay. I think Susanna asked a question. The first question was already answered. Susanna asked questions. Has Mahleej been threatened for being a public beauty? Yes, beauty queen. Yes, we already answered that. Then Susanna asked us, have young women reached out to her with their stories or with messages of admiration? Oh yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get especially a lot after my the women's this year when that women's rights video went viral. I was approached by a lot of women with different kind of stories, and they bring in a lot of topics, that they want me to discuss. Like this one woman wanted me to discuss about how in our culture we see 25 woman goes over 25, she's done, she's expired, nobody wants to marry her. That's like the whole thing. And how that is a taboo, and then we see 50-year-old men marrying 20-year-olds, so I was kind of touching up on that. So yeah, no, there's a lot of women that tell me about their stories. Some of them have even messaged me because they're being abused or sexually abused, or so I try to help them out whatever sources I have through them. But yeah, I get a lot of people, even a lot of atheists, they call them, they just want a message, and they'll be like, oh, at least we can tell you. I'm not gonna be like, oh, cut their head off.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of messages from atheists? They're closet atheists who just come out and say,
yeah. There is a few. There was a guy, actually, he was from Dubai, and after a couple of my videos, he messaged me. He's like, today I told my family I'm gay, and I also told them I left Islam. I was like, wow. I'm like, what did they say? They're like, never come back to Pakistan, or you're going to be dead. So, what, like I said, it's growing. I find the Pakistanis and the Muslims in Western countries are more fanatic than the ones back home. I think I know. The ones back home are more open-minded.
The ones that come here when they're older, they come here, they're like, oh, halal shah. No, I want to have McDonald's. But the ones that have been living here, grown and raised here, they're so they're trying to hold on to something that doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They're also
okay.
Let's be fair. A lot of them are also becoming ex-Muslims. We saw the statistics.
Yes, they are.
25%, which is huge. Anyways, Matt is saying, did you grow up under a Shia or Sunni type of Islam?
Sunni.
Yeah. Susanna is saying, this might be a dumb question, but by Parsi, does she mean Zoroastrian? I thought Parsi was an ethnicity. Okay, so Parsi in Iran means something different than Parsi in Pakistan and India. Okay, Parsi in Iran means Farsi, and it's referring to our ethnicity. I'm a Parsi, but in India, apparently they call the Zoroastrians Parsi. Well, I mean, technically, Zoroastrianism is an ethno-religion, just like Judaism and Hinduism. So that's why people use these interchangeably, Parsi with Zoroastrianism, because Zoroastrianism is an ethnic religion, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Right.
But Mahleej, do you want to answer the question too, or is there anything, or did he get it right?
No, he's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
For most of the whole time, it was called Zoroastrianism, and then it got changed into it because like a lot of people moved to India. That's when the word Parsi kind of came up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is an interesting point. I want to mention it, and I also want to add to it. Labharin mentions that Farsi is an Arabization of the word Parsi. So we in Iran don't say Parsi, we say Farsi. And Farsi. The reason is Farsi, because when Iran was invaded by Arabs, they changed the language, and Arabs don't have anything that sounds like pe.
They don't have a p.
Yeah, so they it's very like a lot of Iranians think it's so ironic that they were so Arabized that even Parsi, the word Parsi, which is supposed to be like not Arab, was Arabized to Farsi, which is
like we had in Saudi they used to call Pepsi Bebzi, like on the can it said with a ba Bebzi because there was no p, and that's why actually Saudi Arabia was originally called Saudi Arabia, but then because they didn't have a p, it became Saudi Arabia.
Oh.
No, that's a joke. I'm just kidding. That's not real. That's the original name. It might as well have been. Okay, so
Lewis is here.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so
okay. No,
only of himself.
Huh?
This is just a comment. Lewis is saying the problems with Trump has nothing to do with religion and nothing to do with politics. He thinks only of himself. I don't think that's fair, because I think Trump uses religion as a weapon, even though he's not religious himself, he used it as a very dangerous religion. But anyways, I only have comment.
Well, I mean, Trumpism is like a religion. It's like a cult, right? I mean, they justify like everything. But Mahleej, since you're looking, I feel like you want to say something about it. So go ahead, address it.
About him? I don't know. I think in a long time, with our politics and everything that was going on, Trump just came and kind of shook the whole thing, and he brought in the whole nationalism, the patriotic spirits, I guess, in people. And some people agree with it and some people don't. It's just two different ideologies, certain people that believe in certain things and certain people that believe in others. I wouldn't call myself, his supporter. Like I said, some things I don't agree with, but at the same time, certain things that he is trying to do, I agree with it. I don't think he's only trying to think for himself. I don't think personally.
I never understood the point of, some people believe this, some people believe that. Well, yeah, and so some of them are extremely wrong to believe what they believe, and they're spreading dangerous ideas by, just because, that's what they believe. Yeah, I know, and they should stop.
I personally don't think he's spreading any kind of ideas that is going to motivate somebody to go do something. I haven't seen.
He doesn't have to motivate anybody. He's doing the damage.
More Black Lives Matters riots, and we've seen, because of one guy that died, we have seen so many other people die of the same color. It doesn't even make sense. You start a movement because one black guy died, and then because of that, you killed another, 30, 40 other black people during that whole thing. And I don't agree with, you can protest. I believe in freedom of speech. Everyone should have that right. But then going burning down other people's businesses, I don't agree with it.
Yeah,
You know,
but I don't know what does that got to do with Trump. Like that's
Well-
what this is. No, hold on, Ali.
no,
No,
but I'm
Yeah,
just
no,
saying.
no, no. Let me respond. Let me
Yeah,
respond.
go ahead.
Just okay. I don't like the looting and the rioting. I like the protests. I don't like the looting and the rioting. But this has nothing. But just because some people on one side, like we're talking about how Trump bad is, and this is what a bad is. And when we're talking, when we jump to somebody else being bad, and also Trump doesn't really need to motivate people to cause a lot of damage. He has done plenty of damage by himself to the United States for a very long time and the rest of the world.
Like how? It couldn't be for a very long time.
Like how? No, let me. Okay, no, I don't care about that.
Over 4 years, so he couldn't be long time. Long time would be Obama that did 8 years, right?
Let me
the only
answer.
thing.
Let me answer.
You guys don't like his
Let me
certain
answer.
things that he's bringing to shake the world, because like I said, there was nobody else that was touching these topics that are taboo, because everybody wants to be so politically correct.
Oh no! We were touching these topics before Trump did, and
No,
Trump actually.
no, because see,
Can
the
I say?
topic,
Can I answer?
even
Can
about
I answer?
transgender topic, you don't want to hear somebody else say that. Oh, how, like you were kind of telling me how
you asked me a question,
Guys,
nonsense
you're
to somebody like that. You
I
know
mean,
what
you
I mean?
asked
Like
me-
you were telling me. Yeah.
let Mahleej finish. Let her finish, and then
No,
go
but
on.
but I was just answering a question. Like you asked me a question, I was just answering it, but then you didn't let me finish my answer. But go on. Can I answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, the way he's doing long-term
No, go ahead.
the way he's doing long-term damage, even if it's just 4 years, is by picking conservative judges that are lifetime appointees, by doing a lot of damage to the planet when it comes to global warming, carbon emissions, that is going to last way, that damage is going to be permanent in some aspects, by normalizing acceptance of human rights violations. I agreed. I criticized previous presidents for doing that as well. But just because other presidents did that before him, that doesn't mean I'm not gonna shit on Trump when he does it. In fact, he's doing that astronomically more than previous presidents. The fact that Obama did that as well doesn't mean that I'm not gonna call out Trump when Trump does it. And the fact that he is violating free speech while hypocritically act like he is a defender of free speech, even though he's the one that is normalizing speaking about legal ramification to people who want to burn the flag, or to use libel laws against the journalists, or to rough people up because of them being in disagreement with them. The fact, so I mean, I can keep going on and going on and going on.
No, but the thing is, I'm sorry, but like if somebody is going to burn a Canadian flag, I disagree with that. No, you should not be able to burn a country's flag. If you're going to live in a country and not respect that country, I don't think you should be allowed to live in that country if you're going to burn that flag.
Okay, so
I think it doesn't matter what disagreement you have, you should not stoop down to that level and burn the country's flag. So if you're saying that
legally banned doing it.
And yes, the way it was being done, like you can't do that in other countries. I understand you calling Trump on all these things, but what about like the other presidents? What about like the Chinese, and what about North Korea? How about them?
Fuck them all.
But that's the thing, you're not. We're only focused on Trump. We never see so much propaganda on anybody else. It's only on Trump.
Am I only focused on Trump? Do you know if I'm only focused on Trump?
And you were saying that he's the one that is. Sorry. Yes, you did.
No,
you only talking about Trump. I don't hear you talk about North Korea and how they're not actually supposed to speak. You talk about freedom of speech. You have freedom of speech in US, but you don't actually. The left doesn't let you talk. The left always wants to shut you down.
Forget the left. I'm talking about. We're not talking about the left. We're talking about Trump. You're telling me I don't call out China I don't call out North Korea. I don't call out Saudi Arabia. I don't call out Iran. Are you sure that I don't call them
I've
out?
only heard you call out Trump so far, so that's what I said. Right?
Because we brought up Trump. We're talking about Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about Trump because we brought up Trump. But you cannot
I
judge.
don't think he's done as much damage as the other presidents have done. Like they have destroyed all of Middle East. Trump is the one. Didn't he just bring our troops back from from Afghanistan?
No, he
and
didn't.
stuff?
No, he didn't. He just moved them from one area to another one. He increased their level.
All right, guys.
Increased them. Okay.
This is the thing that we should have been talking about earlier.
The thing is, like you were saying that freedom of speech. He doesn't let anybody talk. I hear from both sides. I listen to CNN. I don't listen to them. I just see things from both levels.
Right. So, but let's just be clear. You think that it should be illegal? You think it should be illegal to burn the flag? Illegal.
It should be illegal. Of course, it should be illegal.
So that's great. So thank you for clarifying that the actual people that are against freedom of expression are the people that are defending Trump.
That's not freedom of expression. If you're going to live in a country, listen, if you're going to live in a country that provides you with a job where you're earning, and a lot of people are earning and sending it back to their countries, okay? But at the same time, you're going to come there and stand and burn the flag. And in a lot of countries, it is illegal. It's not only in
fuck them.
US.
Fuck them. Like just because
why do we want to do that? Why?
Because we're not going to follow dictators. Because we're not going to.
I will be offended if somebody burns Canada's flag.
You'll get over it. You'll get over it. It's fine. I get offended every day. I'm not going to go ban people.
I'm not saying if I see it happening, I'm going to go and burn their house up or anything. But I'm just saying it's disrespectful to a country where you're going to live and is giving you rights.
Do you understand? Do you understand? Do you understand that freedom of expression is the whole point of having freedom of expression?
Yes, I understand freedom of expression because I come from a country where we have none. We have no freedom.
No
when
idea.
I come to a Western country, listen. When I come to a Western country, right, where I see things are 1,000 times better than what they were in Pakistan, yet I see people still here sitting there and complaining about it. Yet they're benefiting so much from it. Maybe they should go and live in another third world country so they can understand what they actually have here. We're being ungrateful. No, let me finish my point, Adikua.
Yeah. You don't let me finish one thought.
No, Armin.
Hold on, Ali, I'm going to mute you.
I think it's just ungrateful if you're going to do that because there is a lot of other countries that are, forcing a lot worse rules and like you can't do nothing in those places. I come from a country that had no freedom, so I can understand
that 4 times now. So can I say no, Ali? Can I respond?
Yeah, but you got to make this quick. We got to wrap up.
Okay, I'm going to make it quick.
Each time.
It doesn't.
Generous.
You don't understand the whole point of what free speech even means. Free speech is not about, you're free to say things that doesn't offend me. You're free to say the things that are not disrespectful. You're free the things that are, you're only free to be, you have to be grateful. You're not free. You're not free to express your, if you're ungrateful, if you don't recognize if you're unappreciative, then you don't have the right to express yourself. That's not free speech. Free speech is meant to defend unpopular ideas. Free speech is meant to defend ideas that makes people triggered, like me. If I get triggered every day by saying I got triggered 5 times a day. I don't think it should be like more than 5 times. But I don't think anything you said or anybody else says that triggers me, that any of that should ever be illegal, right? The whole point of free speech is to defend expression of ideas that are unpopular. If they were not unpopular, if they weren't offending anybody, you wouldn't even need free speech laws to defend them. And then you say, other countries. Well, fuck those other countries. Are we gonna the whole point is to of having no. See, this is what I'm telling you. You're not letting me finish. The whole point of having free speech is to be better than those other countries. These United States is supposed to be a role model, it's supposed to be the champion of free speech for the entire planet. If you even, I know, and I'm so grateful that people that think that this should be illegal will never get their way because it's in the Constitution of the United States. And you guys will never be able to take this right away from people, hopefully. But even normalizing this idea that this is a good idea, it sets a bad precedent across the world, because if United States is supposed to be the number one champion of free speech around the globe, if it's even normalized as an idea that the president comes out and says that this should be illegal, then the other countries will see like, oh, look, even in the United States, they're realizing that free speech should not be, it's a value that should be appreciated. And it sets a bad precedent. And that's why I will tell you, if you're in the United States right now, even if you respect your country, because you respect your country, because you value your country, because you value the free speech laws in your country, I'll suggest to you to please buy and burn an American flag and record it and put it on YouTube as a defense of your freedom of expression, and to also promote it all around the globe. Burn an American flag. I burn a Quran.
I don't agree with that. I really don't, because if you're talking about freedom of speech or freedom of expression, so what stops another person from going and burning my car tomorrow? Well, I felt like showing that freedom of expression to you by burning your car. So
are you serious?
Like the people were doing in right?
I'm gonna jump in.
No.
They're expressing themselves. You're okay with that? That they're expressing themselves?
Can I answer?
Wants to go stab somebody. You think that's free expression? Freedom of speech is different. And I think that we have that freedom of speech. That's why everybody comes to America, and a lot of atheists that go and criticize religions. You can't do that in many countries, but you can do that in the United States. But when it comes to a flag, something that is to the country, I support that. It should be illegal. I don't think anybody should be burning down anything. You want to talk about you want to talk bad mouth Canada or America, whatever. You're free to do so. You're doing it anyways. Nobody's stopping you. I don't think so.
Okay, last thing, Mahleej, last word, and then we gotta wrap up. We have to.
It's so bizarre that you don't see the difference between buying a flag that you own, that is your property, that you have every right to do whatever you want with. It's protected by law. It's your property. You could wipe your ass with an American flag if you want. You could celebrate it. You could hang it. You could burn it. You could piss on it. It's your property, and that's protected by law. I have to answer. I have to answer, guys. Can I please answer the question that you asked me? You asked me.
Keep going, Armin, and then Mahleej, you'll get the answer.
You asked me if somebody burns their flag, why wouldn't they go burn my car or my house tomorrow? Really? Like, you don't see the difference between me? Do you not see the difference between me not breaking the law in any way and expressing my idea through something that doesn't harm a single person, between that and me going out and violating someone else's property and doing something that is illegal and not protected by law? Do you not see the difference between these two?
Now, hold on. Before you answer, Mahleej, you're going to get the last word now. Armin, if there's anything you're itching to say, at the end, just say you disagree, and then that's it. Okay, so I
already know what my response is going to be. I'm going to say my response to whatever you say is probably going to be, you didn't answer my question. But go on.
Okay, but the thing is that we really have to wrap up, because from the audience point of view.
I agree that it's your private property, and you want to burn that down, but then why stop with the flag? Why the flag? Why not burn your own house down then? It's burning, destroying, destruction doesn't help anything. You think burning a flag is going to solve your problems? No, I think it's more of an expression, your words, and nobody's stopping anybody from freedom of speech in US right now. If anything, it's mostly liberals that get to talk, and the cancel culture is out there. The conservatives don't actually get to talk. So it's the opposite way. Burning a flag, personally, it could be any country. I think it's disrespectful to that country.
Good.
Especially if you're living in that country, making a living, that country's providing you with benefits, that country's providing you with the future and future of your kids. If you're really pissed off and you think there's other better countries, try them. This is someone coming from a country. Even if I was living in Pakistan, I hated everything about Pakistan, I will still not go burn that country's flag, because that country is a country itself. The people or the person ruling is different. Maybe go make a Trump Tower, statue or something and put that on fire. That is different. I don't care. Maybe make a statue of Trump and put that on fire. I don't care. But when it comes to a country's flag, you have to respect that country, especially US. Like you said, it has been known as a model. Everybody knows that in US you have rights, the American dream, everything that it had to offer. And it's just my views of that. But it's not.
If you're grateful of the United States, burn an American flag because you love the country and you want to see it better and you want to fight for the
that's
freedom.
called inciting. This is what's called inciting. Like he was saying, Trump
I am inciting.
That's what you're doing.
I'm inciting towards harming not a person, not someone else's property. But
I think you're inciting people to, go away from something that is good. And I don't totally agree with that. I
know you don't. I know you don't.
Time out.
Statue of Trump. If you hate Trump or you hate America, if you hate America, then you shouldn't even live there.
You're not listening to anything I'm saying.
No.
If you hate Trump, then you should make a statue of Trump and then burn him.
Right,
But if you really hate America, like anybody that is in Canada and has multiple problems with Canada and is like, Canada is so bad. I always
that you didn't let me make.
Everybody understands your point, Mahleej. Everybody gets your point. Apparently
not. Apparently not.
No, everybody in the audience who's listening, you have made your point, Yuga. Now you guys are sort of repeating yourselves with just little nuances. So
I know. It's the same thing over and over again.
Cut. So I just want to say one thing, and then
you're free to be ungrateful and stay in a country even if you're ungrateful. But even if you're grateful, you can still burn the flag. It doesn't mean you're ungrateful if you burn a flag. In fact, because you love the country, you're burning the flag to say that freedom of speech is something that you don't mess with.
Okay, perfect. Okay, there you go. Done. All right, now, I just want to say that this is one of the reasons, when you were saying the original question with Seth Andrews, like on that thread about, why atheists hate Trump and all that. That this is, the point you brought up is what about Kim Jong-un? What about all those other dictators? The reason that I think that Trump is the greatest international crisis in the world right now is because the US is that beacon of free speech. It's supposed to lead by example. We cannot have somebody on our side that is in the same league as all those people. So that's the reason. But Mahleej, thank you very much for coming here. This is like the Lion's Den, and Armin.
Thank you. Yes. Sorry.
It was so much fun. We should definitely do it again. I like Armin.
I thought you would. So I was saying, like, at the end, because I told her, I was like, we disagree, and that's what kind of really got. She's like, oh yeah, I like disagreeing. So I guess you got what you wanted here. So this is.
It's more fun like this, and I appreciate the fact that you can take criticism, like the fact that you don't shy away from it, you accept it, and you challenge it. Like it's I wish more people were like that. So I'm grateful.
I don't blow up either.
Yeah, and I understand because to the audience, I was on the receiving end of this, like you were. So I know we didn't hear a lot of things. There was a lot of crosstalk, and I was trying to get into it as much as I could, but Armin. I even unmuted myself every time Armin muted me, but this is just something that completely. So my apologies to the audience if you couldn't hear a lot of.
Hey, no, what are you talking about? It was
Armin,
great.
Listen to the thing afterwards, okay, and then read the audience comments.
It was great.
Guys.
It was great. I'm reading the audience comment. People are saying this is great. What are you talking about? Cool.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So thank you for your time. You've been very generous. We talked about 1.5 hours. We've gone up for over 2 hours now. So I know you probably have to get to sleep too. Yeah, it's
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we're both in the GTA, so hopefully, we should hang out some point. I know you got a kid, I got a kid too. So, once this whole virus thing is over, we should all
social distance from like far away. Oh, before we go, what do you guys think about people wearing a mask while they're driving the car, Armin?
It's like wearing a condom when you're jerking off.
At least we agree on something then.
I'm joking. I don't know.
They should wear a mask.
I think I would defer to experts. I don't think I am qualified to tell you what's the best practices.
Yeah.
I
think a lot of times I've found myself doing it, and the only reason is because I go for grocery shopping, And then from grocery shopping, I have to go to the Indian store to get parathas.
Oh.
And so when I go from one to the other, I leave the mask on. I totally forget to take it off. And then I'm driving with a mask on. But I agree that it's not, you don't have to. But I don't think we should mask shame people, especially in this time at all. Because
I'm not shaming anybody. I'm just saying that I have seen, like, I saw this one chick. She put her mask on the other day. And she rocked in her car for like literally 5 minutes before she actually got out. And she was like going at it with gloves and everything. I just thought it was just so funny. But
there are funny things that happen. But just for everybody out there, masks, and this is like this is the physician in me speaking. Masks prevent COVID infections by 50 to 70%. Okay, it's not because the virus can't get through the mask. It's because the virus can't get out of. Well, the virus can, but because your bodily secretions, when you speak, when you sneeze, when you cough, don't get out of the mask. So we all wear it so we can all protect each other, and it has been shown to work. That's why places where they're not enforcing this are going off the rails, right? So
yeah, the virus is smaller than the holes in your mask, but viruses don't just travel just by themselves. They travel on the droplets of water, and the droplets are bigger than the holes in your mask.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, Mahleej, thank you so much for being a good sport.
At the end, I just want to say, if anybody want to follow me, you can follow me at Mahleej Sarkari on my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. It's all under one name, Mahleej Sarkari. You just Google it and you will find all the links right there.
Yes.
She's
go follow. Show support.
Yeah, she's provocative. She's controversial. She triggers Armin. Like she triggers him like several times. So it's great. Yeah, this is something.
If you're listening to the public, if you're watching the video version of this, which is for patrons, the links are not in the description. Yeah, but the public version, which is for mass consumption, if you're listening to the audio version of this on YouTube or on your podcast app, links to to follow our guest all of it is in the description. So go ahead and show some support. Go follow.
All right. And thank you, everybody. Thank you to the patrons. And we're going to see you next time. I'll just stay on for just a second.
All right. Bye. Bye, everybody. Bye, patrons. Thank you. And be a patron. Link in the description. Bye.
The secular jihadists have been made possible thanks to the Illuminati and the covert support of Israel and the CIA. That's what we have been told, but we haven't received our checks yet. If you like what we do, please support us. Share the podcast with your friends. Write and tweet us with topic and guest suggestions. Or head over to secularjihadist.com and give $1 or more for exclusive access to live video. Have your questions read and answered on the air and more. Till next time, may the flying spaghetti monster be with you.